Hello everyone, this is Keith George, and I'm here to talk about the case study for AEP 858 involving Truman Elementary School. So what I know is that Truman Elementary School is one of the largest elementary schools within its district. It serves pre-K through 8th grade and serves about approximately 700 students. 15% of the student body is free and reduced lunch, while 5% is um, English language learners. Parents are concerned in regards to the reading achievement that is occurring at the Truman Elementary School. The PTO president sent a letter to the principal addressing concerns, saying that many parents feel that reading and writing are not being taught effectively at the school. The principal is to present findings at the next PTO meeting. Um, a reading specialist is enlisted to come and observe the reading program at Truman Elementary and determines that there is a need for improvement. Teachers in the school use the Basel program for reading and writing and spend about 1 hour a day on language arts. There is a potential grant opportunity for research-based reading programs if schools apply and meet the requirements. State reading and math scores show some variances from year to year. Within the classroom, the reading specialist identified kind of a one-size-fits-all approach. There's not a whole lot of individualized instruction. What I need to know is how do Truman Elementary scores compare to that of the state average compared to elementaries within the same district? Because the parents are identifying a concern based on the state testing results that they've seen in the paper. What are some of the other demographic information on the student body within Truman Elementary, such as race and ethnicity and students with learning disabilities? And how do those percentages compare to other schools within the district and within the state? And then also, I'd be curious to know what the student-teacher ratio is also. What is an acceptable variance in state median reading scores from year to year? Because when I looked at the data, there wasn't a large variance from when looking at the cohorts. There wasn't a huge variance from one year to the next. They stayed pretty consistent. Have parents been given all the information? Is it just members from the PTO who have voiced their concern, or was there in fact a perception survey that revealed these concerns by parents? The PTO president just says that there's a lot of parents who have stated concerns. Are there any additional assessments, such as interim assessments, that have been used to gauge student performance or other progress monitoring measures? When was the last time the reading curriculum was revised or realigned to state standards? Parents have raised concern about student achievement on the state reading tests. This led them to question the strategies and programs being used to teach reading and writing within the Truman Elementary School. The district reading specialist confirms that content and instructional delivery are not aligned with what has been proven to be effective in teaching reading and writing. So this is our problem. A proposed plan of action. Well, I've identified a few steps that have already been taken by the current administrator. The administrator took it upon himself and did an observational review of the current reading program. He then enlisted the district reading specialist to analyze the reading program and made connections between their two observations, and then has identified potential funds that could be used to implement a new reading program if needed. Additional steps to be taken. I think there needs to be a critical reflection of where we are now, identification of where we want to be, identification of the root causes for these gaps, if there are in fact gaps, implementation of strategies targeting the root cause, and then share the plan of action with all stakeholders, since it is stakeholders who have raised the concern. Through the implementation process, it needs to be collaborative, research-based, and there's probably going to be professional development. So looking at the critical reflection of where we are now, I think it should be a collaborative process. with the staff and properly reflecting on state reading scores. Staff should be included when making comparisons of Truman Elementary scores to the schools within the district, as well as the state averages. We need to determine, are the schools' reading scores, in fact, lower than state averages or lower than other elementary schools within the district? Or are we just basing it off of them scoring lower compared to math assessments? The information needs to be desegregated using the testing scores as well as demographic data for the school. And then we need to review current reading curriculum for alignment with the state reading objectives and benchmark standards. Through this, hopefully we can identify where we want to be. After proper analysis of the state testing, collaborative work with the staff, I would collaboratively work with the staff in identifying a shared vision or goal for our continuous school improvement in regards to student achievement in reading. Once we have identified a vision, we truly need to identify what is causing these gaps. What is the root cause? So with that information collected from assessments, the reflection of the reading program itself, and the reading specialist observations, we must dive deeper into the information to identify that root cause. Is it the outdated reading program, such as lacking the focus on phonics and phonetic skills, reading comprehension, and integrated reading and writing? Is it the lack of resources in meeting the needs of students? Is it the lack of professional development supplied to the staff? Are our class sizes hindering personalized instruction? Or is it a combination of causes? It was suggested by the reading specialist that some of the teachers will have to make a major shift. It will be essential that they understand what the information is telling us and why there is a need for adjustment. Without bringing them along in the process of identification, they may resist change later as we implement new programs. Implementation of strategies targeting the root cause. It'll be crucial that we find a reading program that targets our root problems. Otherwise, we're just adding another program to the list without there actually being a purpose for it. So programs should be researched and proven effective. They should be geared towards achieving our vision and goals that we have established. We must also be able to track progress. Therefore, progress monitoring systems as well as interim assessments could be used or could prove to be beneficial in tracking improvement. Now, as we implement these programs, professional development will be needed as well, and helping teachers identify how to properly track and monitor student progress. In the implementation of such programs, there must be accountability. We need to establish staff responsibilities, due dates, timelines, and make resources available to the staff. And as always, there's always going to be an issue with funds, so we must pursue funds to implement such programs. Finally, I'd share the plan of action with all stakeholders. It was the stakeholders themselves who brought attention to a concern with the reading achievement of our students. So at the next PTO meeting, I would present our findings on the information collected, and then I would also probably post it on our website just to push the information out to everybody. So promoting success for all students. In the resolution, the mission is always to promote the success of all students and increase achievement. So the action plan I identified seeks to improve student achievement in reading for students at Truman Elementary by recognizing the root problem. Okay? Through critically analyzing progress monitoring and state testing data, we are working to identify areas for improvement. In identifying these areas for improvement, we are working to promote the success of all students. We are taking the students' best interests into mind when we continually reflect on our practices, just as we do as teachers every day. We need to reflect on how effective that lesson was, make critiques, make adjustments. So we need to do that with our programs as well. The implementation of new programs will aid in increasing student achievement in reading. Through two-way communication with the community and taking action on identifying concerns, we're showing the parents that their opinion does in fact matter. And by showing them that it matters, they may be willing to be engaged more with the school, and that increased engagement or involvement in the school will also help to boost student achievement. So, in debriefing the problem, what I was thinking, as I looked at the results again, the cohort scores actually remained fairly constant from year to year. And when you look at the last 2 year to the present year, most of them actually gained. So the results that the parents are seeing, I want to know what exactly it is that they were comparing those scores to. The administrator was right in bringing in the reading specialist. I think it's always wise to double check your programs. And the state assessment should not be the only means for gauging student success. What I was feeling, I felt like we needed more information. There was no comparisons of the data. There was no idea given as to what information the student or the parents were given, other than just the state assessment scores. Parents jumped to conclusion about reading and writing based on those. I also felt that Truman Elementary should be evaluating school programs on a regular basis. What I valued as I was debriefing the problem, the content specialist within a district, grant opportunities presented by the State Department of Education, and getting stakeholder input through perception surveys. So, unresolved issues and further investigation. Are the students at Truman Elementary truly underachieving on state assessments in reading, or are they scoring right there or just below average? There's no comparison made, so I'd like to further investigate that. How many parents feel this way about reading and writing at Truman? Is it only the few isolated parents? Are they only operating on what state test scores show and what their students tell them? Are there any programs monitoring progress already in place? These are all things I'd like to know to aid in my action plan. When implementing new programs, parents will need to be advised that changes will not occur overnight, but with time. in making connections to Standard 8, Component 1, communication with stakeholders, as a building leader, I responded and communicated to the community, first through allowing two-way communication, allowing the community to voice their opinion. Second, by taking action after hearing their concerns, not just letting it, collect dust on the shelf. We take action based on their concerns. With the reading specialist review, the desegregation of data, the identification of the problem and development of goals, and the implementation of new programs. Upon reflection with staff, identification of the root cause and established goals, I will present the findings and plans to implement support programs at the PTO meeting, as well as other avenues such as the school website. I will also keep the community up to date on the progress of the implementation of the new programs. Knowledge of policies, laws, and regulations. As the building administrator, I use knowledge of policies, laws, and regulations that govern the school to influence and bring positive change through two-way communication with stakeholders, the PTO president, the district reading specialist, by safeguarding student identities when discussing data analysis results with the PTO, also with the staff, by staying abreast of news and grant opportunities from the State Department of Education. And finally, through collaborating with stakeholders. As the building administrator, I established an ongoing dialogue with decision makers outside the school by again maintaining this two-way communication with the PTO president, through bringing in a reading specialist to assess our current situation, and through using perception surveys completed by stakeholders to provide prompts for further investigation or discussions and analyzing the best way to promote success for our students. Thank you for listening.